Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable. I'm here like normal every Wednesday. Never fails. I don't really have a life, so I just sit around and podcast all day. I don't have any friends either, so it's just a sad world for me. But today with me, the always lovely Shauna. I can't see her. She's got camouflage on. Can't see you, Shauna.
I'm in hiding. So
You're
yeah.
hiding?
Yes.
Are you an illegal? Are you an illegal or something?
I'm standing in solidarity with the people.
All right. So first things first. If you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. I'm gonna apologize ahead of time. I have a sore throat. A sore throat day.
This is when tea comes in handy, but somebody doesn't want to drink tea.
I tried to the other day. I just couldn't do it.
That's because you didn't make it right. But anyway.
I just don't like tea. It's like drinking like dirt water. It's like
good for you. Good for you. Anyway.
The only thing I like that's tea or coffee flavored is Starbucks like caramel mocha lappuccino or whatever it's called. But anyway, on the show today, we're going to talk about some super serious stuff. The big news. So I'm going to explain something to all my listeners. Donald Trump releases some big major thing every single day since he's been president. And it's pissing the liberals off because they can't keep up. They can't use the media to continually harp on him for like a week straight on something. Because as soon as they start to get momentum, he releases another piece of information. They got to start all over. So they depend on emotion, on people's emotions. So they're not getting that opportunity right now. And it's funny because you're watching them all self-destruct all over social media. It's epic. And I love it. Trump's has a brilliant plan. And so me and Shauna, we've been talking about it at work a lot. And because she's been on social media, even though every time she gets on the show, she's like, I'm going to get off social media for the week. She never does it. Never. I come in the next day.
Like, it makes me mad.
You can't do it. You're addicted. You're an addict.
They make me mad. It makes me mad. No, I'm not. It just makes me mad. They make me mad, and I'm like, you know what? I have to get off. This is too much. It's too much.
So I'm gonna go back into the archives real quick, and I'm not gonna bring them up, but we're gonna talk about it. So when Shauna first started on the show, she was our semi-liberal skeptic. And here we are, like months later. She's a full-fledged Trumper, and she is every policy.
I am not.
You are a Trumper.
I am not. I just find all of this very entertaining. I find it all entertaining.
That's why at work you're like, man, Trump 2028. I'm like, Trump can't.
Please. Oh, please don't tell lies. You know that God says not to lie. Don't lie like that.
You're not lying when it's joking, Shauna.
No, that's lying. That was a lie. That was a lie. Anyways.
I don't think you're supposed to lie to your parents, and you're not my parent. Facts.
Anyways.
I win again. So actually, they're showing on the news right now that these liberals are having a rally in Washington and they're melting down, literally melting down. It's so much fun. Like, you should have seen Maxine Waters. We were talking about that today, weren't we, Shauna? About how Maxine Waters looked ridiculous at their little rally they had. She's so disturbing looking. She's on right now. They got her on right now. She don't get it. I don't think she's not on Earth anymore, I don't think. Mentally, she's somewhere else. And then they got some dude up there with a cane. He keeps holding the cane up. This fancy, probably $20,000 cane he's holding up. The elitist. It's like a party of the elitists. You don't see no normal people in the rally. It's all their little elite congressional buddies. So, Shauna, let's talk about it real quick because I want to get your take on it. Not because you're a Trumper now, but because you're seeing a lot of stuff online. Like you've been looking and you're seeing it. So just kind of give everybody an idea of what you're seeing.
I mean, where do you want to start?
What
Okay,
about today?
so
what did you see today?
about today, not too much today. I mean, I guess, well, the most current thing is Al Green talking about they're in the works of trying to impeach Trump. So I saw that. I refuse to look at comments on Instagram because I've had to realize, like, okay, this is not the informed. So
Wait, so would you say it's highly liberalized on Instagram?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you
Like,
don't like it because it's highly liberalized.
it's not even, it's just like, it's so much like people just throwing terms around they don't know. A lot of people is just like, oh my God, like it's the end of times. Like it's just everything. It's everything. And it's just like, at this point you would have thought like, okay, maybe just maybe we would have started doing research, but they still haven't.
They don't.
They're literally still seeing like the headlines and just running with it. And
Okay,
it's like
so
insane.
they've got a headline up right now. It says Elon Musk and DOGE are hacking the government. So that's what these people see. And they're like,
Yeah.
NBC said that they're hacking the government, but they are not hacking the government. That is a blatant lie. He brought a team of like 19 and 20-year-old like tech prodigies with him to Washington to audit. They're just auditing. That's all they're doing. These liberals are
the thing that's like
going to get into the Social Security system and take everything. No, they're not. Someone who has $400 billion doesn't care about more money. He'll never spend that in his entire lifetime. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the media right now is like a big, like they're making everything 10 times worse than it has to be right now. And that's the whole thing. Like they're just making it 1,000 times worse. And it's also too, there's like, a lot of people complain as well that there's not a lot of legitimate journalism anymore. So they're not even fact checking if these things are true or how to like even give proper information about any of those things. So it's literally like the media is making everything 1,000 times worse and it's because of the fear. Like it really is. So it's just, like I said, I refuse Instagram.
Oh, she's yelling at her kids. They're being bad. So G-Bro, what's up, man? Thanks for jumping in. Our favorite Hoosier. But so I'm gonna add to what you just said, Shauna. So no, actually we're not. We're gonna move on to the first topic. So Trump yesterday had a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. For those of you who don't know who that is, it's Israel's prime minister. He's been prime minister for a while. Then he wasn't prime minister, and now he's prime minister again. Oh my God, AOC's on TV. I can't look. That's my girlfriend, but like I don't think I can live with her. Like you're gonna have to like just show up at like 8 o'clock at night, and you gotta leave by like 10. That's it.
Oh my God, can we?
That's the 2-hour time period I can handle her. That's it. You gotta go home after that. But anyway, that's rude of me to say. I shouldn't say that. That's me being a misogynist. It's very misogynistic.
I'm glad you can identify that.
I'm getting better at identifying my flaws. Probably because I do my psych show.
Oh my
I'm
God.
identifying myself. Anyway, oh my gosh, they go from AOC to Ilhan Omar. Like, they're torturing me today. So Donald Trump came out, and him and Netanyahu made a deal. Okay, so the deal is let's take all the Palestinians and take them out of Gaza and go spread them all over the place in like Egypt. And I was just talking to like, for those of you who don't know, America doesn't like me as a journalist, but other countries do. So I work with Pakistan and India sometimes. And yeah, we're going to talk about that. So I was talking to the Pakistani journalist that I work with, and we were talking about this. And the Pakistani government was not aware that they were nominated to take in these Palestinians. So that's something that is going to, I think it was Trump was saying, this is what we want to do. And everybody in that region is going, whoa, whoa, whoa. We don't want those Palestinians here. But somebody's going to take them. Probably the U.S. is probably going to fund it. What Trump wants to do, and you can look at this in several different ways. I look at it as a positive because look at the situation there. They've been fighting over this land for what, thousands of years, Shauna, and no plan they've ever tried has worked. They've tried peace deals. They've tried, well, just let Israel have it. Well, just let the Persians have it. Everything they try has failed. There's never been real longevity peace agreement there. They had it with the Abraham Accords there for a while, and then Biden didn't want to abide by that because he's a communist. So, it didn't last long. So it's facts. So Trump's proposing, like, hey, let's try something different. Let's take the Palestinians and move them out of Gaza. We're not taking them. We're not taking their homeland, but we're going to occupy it temporarily. We're going to extinct Hamas. Hamas needs to go anyway. You can't have Iran running around funding terrorist groups all the time. Go ahead, Shauna. You got something to say?
Did they ask these people, is that okay with them though?
No, it doesn't matter because we're Americans.
Yes.
See,
that's the problem. That's the problem because you're snatching these people from something that obviously they feel like is important enough that they've been fighting over for thousands of years, for one. Two, we're sitting here saying, oh, well, we're just going to scatter them to like other various places. Like, oh, well, okay, whatever.
No, you're valid. You're valid.
It's very insensitive. Okay.
No, you're valid in your thoughts. I'll say that.
That's
why I said you can look at this several different ways. Because you can look at it through that lens and say, well, we can't just take these people out of their land. I agree with that. However, the land is in shambles. It's just blown up. So there's a lot of money that needs dumped into that region right now. And so
I get it.
Let's get the Palestinians out of the line of fire. We don't want Palestinians to keep dying. That's half the problem we're running into in the United States. They don't want the Palestinians to continue to get killed. I'm okay with that. I don't want that to happen. So let's get them out of the line of fire, clean out the Gaza Strip, flatten the land, knock down all those tunnels that are under there that Hamas has been using to basically terrorize the Palestinians and the Israelis, and Trump wants to rebuild it. He wants to rebuild it into a tourist area. It's a beautiful area. It would be great for tourism. And then he wants to bring the Palestinians back and put them back in their land and say, here you go. We'll teach you how to be successful entrepreneurs. We'll teach you how to build wealth in your little strip of Israel. And I think it's a good idea because you're not taking their land away. You're just going to develop it and make it better. So that way, maybe they'll stop worrying about fighting over the land because now they have land that has a massive value. Gaza can be valuable, and it'll be something that they can focus on. And how do we keep sustaining this tourism's a big money market, and they'll make a lot of money doing that. And plus, it will allow Israel. People are going to want to go there, so you're going to have Israelis want to go over there and vacation there, and people from Egypt will want to go vacation there. It's going to draw people. People from Europe are going to want to go vacation there. It's a good thing to do. And I understand your point, Shauna, where taking the people out of their land isn't a good thing. That's their home. I understand that. However, every other plan has not worked. So why not try something?
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying that the proposition is horrible, but it's just a lot of things. Like, okay, so you're just gonna pull them out. We're going to clean it up,
Yes.
do all this, and then we're going to make it into a tourist town. Okay, not a bad idea, sure. My whole thing is, though, is that where is the guarantee that these people are going to be able to go back and say that this is their home and they don't have to fight for it, they don't have to pay for it? Like, what is the guarantee around that? Like, I don't think the plan overall is a bad plan, but still, to say that you're going to have complete faith that these people are going to do right by you and allow you to come back to your actual land to do these things, like,
I mean, you're
what is the guarantee for that?
obviously gonna, so you're gonna develop a relationship with the Palestinians. If Trump does this, it's gonna build a bridge to the Palestinians with the United States. So we're gonna be able to have influence there and kind of monitor them and say, hey, do you guys need help? Are you guys doing okay? We'll be able to check in on them and make sure that everything's going good and make sure that these terrorist groups don't come in and take advantage of them again, because that's their piece of land. Let them have it. Let's protect them from having these radical terrorist organizations coming in there and messing with them again, because Hamas was killing just as many Palestinians as they were anybody else. So that's not right. And so instead of leaving them there where they're potentially in the line of fire in this war, let's get them out of there and let the United States and Israel go finish off Hamas, clear it out, let these people get their land back without having this terrorist group there. And I think the Palestinians are going to benefit 100-fold at the end of that. I think it's a great idea. I personally like it. I understand that there's going to be some hesitancy with it, simply because, for one, liberals don't trust Trump. I get it.
And everybody don't have very great track records at the end of the day. There you go.
Who does? Who's trustworthy in the world anyway?
So,
Good
when
point.
you're sitting here, there you go. We can't even blame it on one side, both sides. They don't have good track records. So at the end of the day,
Right.
it's very hard
And
to say that, okay.
So my dad just brought up a good point. So Hamas is a very aggressive group. They come in and just take over. Well, then it intimidates the Palestinians. So they just vote Hamas, the primary leadership group. That's what they did last time. They said, hey, we're trying to be peaceful here. We'll vote you in as long as you leave us alone. So we have to empower the Palestinians to stand on their own 2 feet and yet go to bat for them at the same time. But the deal is going to be the war between Israel and Palestine is over. That's going to be the deal. Like, hey, we'll build you guys this mega society that you're going to thrive in. But the war between you and Israel is over. And I think it's a win-win as long as all parties, do their end of the deal. So we'll see what happens. There's going to be a lot more negotiations that happen with that, because there's other countries that are going to be involved and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm going to cover some of the reactions by some of the liberals on this. So my favorite person to hate, Joy Reid, who's on MSNBC, she's the biggest race baiter on the planet by far. I don't know how this woman's not in prison. It's shit. Yeah. Shauna's favorite journalist, Joy Reid.
Ugh, garbage.
She is garbage. And she doesn't make any sense. So she said that Trump's comments are stunning, which is probably one of the nicest things she's ever said about Trump. But then she went on to talk, and she said, we're talking about potential occupation of the Gaza Strip, which has caused Israel to be at war in Gaza even before October 7th. And we're talking about the United States taking over that position of occupation. Okay. And then some other turd from CNN, Jeff Zeleny, he said that Trump announced plans to take over Gaza was meant to distract the country from the backlash his administration is receiving from the left, particularly over his overhaul of USAID. So he's just doing this to deflect from the disaster that he caused from USAID, which we're going to cover here in a second. Then he went on to say, meanwhile, across Washington, across the country, and indeed the world, the government is being reshaped by Elon Musk and others. So once again, it's Elon Musk's fault. He said, so it's unclear if this is something that certainly is a provocative move that gives headlines that we should pay attention to, of course, but also shining a light on this as opposed to what is actually happening in real time. The protests we can hear outside of Washington, of the White House here, of course, for the Israeli prime minister, but also people protesting what Trump's doing to this government. Whatever. Trump could give everybody a golden egg and the liberals will find something to complain about.
It's all just been very extreme. Like it's all just been very extreme. It's all been very extreme. Yeah.
So another of the most famous liberal losers, David Axelrod, he said, I've said this for 8 years. The thing that concerns me is beyond policy. Donald Trump doesn't believe in rules and laws and norms and institutions. He doesn't believe in them domestically. He doesn't believe in them internationally. And he has defied them to get to this point and back to the presidency. And I think he feels indomitable. Indomitable. David Axelrod's using big words. And his attitude is, we'll take what we want to take. We'll take Gaza. We'll take Greenland. We'll take Canada. We'll take the Panama Canal. That's insane. But I mean, he's kind of right. But everything Trump does, though, makes sense. That's the thing. Canada, pay your fair share. It's that easy. Bro, you've been screwing us for all these years, and now we're calling your chips. It's time to pay up. Panama, you can't just give the biggest trade route that we gave you for $1 to the Chinese. Not happening. Gaza, the war's got to end. This is how we're going to do it. Greenland, yeah, eventually we're going to take you, and we're going to make you the most strategic military island on the planet. And we're going to build you lots of McDonald's like you guys want. They do. That's one thing they asked for. They want McDonald's on their island.
Oh my God, please.
I've seen the interviews. They're like, we want McDonald's. Okay, next. Let's talk about USAID. USAID.
Bye-bye.
This is the one. This is what?
No, I just think it's funny. I think this has by far been the funniest of reactions. I don't know. Personally, I've liked these more.
I know that they're freaking out over this. So
no,
Elon Musk,
Americans are freaking out over this. Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
They're not looking into why. This is a no-brainer. And I don't understand. Like I'm all over social media about this. I'm like, I don't understand why you guys are mad that this agency is going to cease to exist. Like this is the funnel of all of the corrupt money is right here. Like, how are you guys still standing up for this?
But this is the thing. Like I told you earlier, Americans are upset about it. Everybody else that's been receiving the US aid are literally like, okay, good, because now we can actually start to rebuild our countries properly. Right. This is what's been stopping us, because all of these politicians have been taking this corrupt money. Like this is a good thing. And I've seen several people from Nigeria, all different ones, and they've all said the same thing. Why are y'all mad? This is a good thing.
Right, because
This
the
is a good
policies
thing for
restrictive.
our economy. Like, that's the whole thing.
Correct. The policy's restrictive on these other countries that we're supposed to be helping. And we're basically keeping them divided. We're funding like coups. Whoever, if there's somebody running for president of these countries and we don't like them, we go fund the coup to get rid of them. It's insane. And they got caught red-handed. Their hand is in the cookie jar, and Elon Musk slammed the lid down and their hand stuck in it. And now they've all exposed themselves because they did a big giant protest, and you saw every single liberal. Okay, now it gives me a whole list of people to go look at their money and see who's taking money from these accounts. And I'm going to spend my whole weekend finding out how much money that Waters is taking, how much money is Chuck Schumer taking, and all those clowns that were on there talking. That Jasmine Crockett, she's got a lot to say now.
She been working my last nerve. I'm not even gonna lie to you. She been working my last nerve. Oh, she been working my last nerve.
She's trying to get attention.
She's been working my last nerve.
I'm gonna tear her finances apart.
Ugh.
I guarantee you she's dirty.
Well, they've already been doing it on Twitter.
Yeah, they're all crooks.
Yeah.
So let's dig into the USAID for those people who don't understand what's going on. I'm gonna try to elementary school it down for everybody.
Yeah.
So from Trump's first term to Biden's term. So when Biden took over, the USAID had a pot of $20.5 billion. Biden has turned it into $42.4 billion. So he over doubled this fund. Why? Because they overloaded it full of DEI programs. So at the top, so let's just go through $50 million. Remember how I was talking a few shows ago where we talked about the condoms to Gaza, and I didn't know if it was legit or not. That is legit. $50 million went to fund condoms to Gaza. What? That's insane. $1.5 million went to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces. Bro, you think those hard-ass Serbian men give two shits about DEI? Bro, those dudes eat bullets for breakfast. They don't care about DEI. That was a scam. They're funneling that money somewhere. So they allocated $70,000 for the production of a DEI musical in Ireland that would revolve around the transgenders. I can't believe the Irish are going for this stuff.
I'm just as shocked. Like I'm thoroughly shocked. Like there's just no way. Absolutely. The Irish?
I mean, the biggest
The Irish? Exactly.
Right.
You're telling me I don't know.
The most masculine men on the planet are in Ireland, and they're going to transgender plays. I don't think so. If that's the case, then alpha male's dead.
I think that's been dead for a while.
That's not.
We can blame America and Canada for that one.
Canada's got some issues. So 47,000 of it went to a transgender opera in Colombia. The Colombians. Where you think Pablo Escobar is going to show up to a transgender opera? Hell no. He ain't going to a transgender opera. $32,000 went to fund a transgender comic book in Peru. So there's that. You see the pattern here. Transgender, DEI stuff. $37 million was going to the World Health Organization. $16 million in funding for the institutional contractors and gender development offices. $4 million of funding for the Center for Climate Positive Development. Like, come on, man. And anybody's complaining about getting rid of this program. This is supposed to be an aid program for countries to help in disasters and to help in, educational things for, countries that are underdeveloped. But here we are, we're poisoning other countries with this ideologies that are trash, that tears the pure fabric of every country apart. This DEI system is not working anywhere that they've tried it. Everybody's rejected it, except for Canada. Canada could reject it. I think some of them are, but there's a lot of liberals in Canada. So this is a big issue, and I'm glad that Elon's going through there and tearing it apart, and I'm glad that Trump's going to get rid of this whole program. I think they can make an international aid fund, but they gotta restructure it. It needs the stipulations need redone. They can't do it in its current form where it's just a free for all for dumping slush funds in there and funneling them wherever they want. Oh, there's more. I had to scroll down. 12 million went to support services to the Bureau for Resilience, Environment, and Food Security. 6 million in non-emergency funding for redundant administrative supports for the Center of Excellence, whatever that means. 600,000 to fund technical assistance for family planning in Latin America. You know what that means? Abortion clinics. Hillary Clinton's probably heading that one up. Did you know that Planned Parenthood was started by a woman that created it to kill black people?
Guess whose mom that was?
Who?
Bill Gates.
Well, that makes a hell of a ton of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, we're adopting Planned Parenthood like it's the greatest idea ever on the liberal side, but it's one of the most racist things that you can possibly do outside of slavery itself. Make it make sense. Shauna, make it make sense.
I'm just here waiting on my ride to go up there with Sky Daddy. Okay.
You know who would be a great co-host for us on this issue? Drewski.
Oh my God.
I want to get Drewski on my show. Him and Theo Vaughn at the same time. This would be great to get.
I would have to just be a listener. I couldn't take it serious at all. I just have to be a viewer that day. I'd have to be a viewer that day.
Right. Next topic of discussion is the next thing that the liberals are melting down about. They're pre-planning the next meltdown. So they're like, Trump's going to get rid of the Department of Education. Why is that a problem? I'm going to explain to you why that's a problem. But first, I'm going to give you our view, how Americans are led to view education. Okay? I'm not even going to talk about the woke stuff and all the extra crap they put in there, critical race theory, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about that. So let's talk about our view. Okay? So obviously, as time has gone by, we have realized that our media only tells us what they want us to think. So they've done the same with education. They want us to think that American education is top notch, that we are heads above everyone else. However, they don't ever reveal the global education reports. They don't talk about them on the news. Why not? Because we're not as smart as we think we are. Now, in my first book, well, I don't know where it's on the floor because my cats knocked it down. They must not like my book. My first book, From the Mouth, I talk about the education system in depth and what it has happened. So there's a test that every fifth grader in the world takes. It's the PISA test. Okay. So that's how they go put you through math, science, and reading. Okay. Those three subjects. Now, when we look at the overall test scores of America, so the number one country, guess who it is, Shauna?
I'm going China.
Wrong. It's Singapore.
Ooh, I know it was an Asian country.
Number 2 is China. Number 3 is Japan. Number
Yes.
4 is Taiwan. Number
Yep.
5, South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, Hong Kong.
Yep.
Number 7, Estonia. Estonia is smarter than us.
We're nowhere on the top 10, the top 20.
Listen,
we're in the top 40.
Then it's Canada. Then it's Ireland. The Irish are smarter than us. I didn't think they went to school. I just thought they drink beer and fight. Next, Switzerland, Australia, Finland, New Zealand, England, Poland. The Czech Republic is smarter than us. The Czech Republic. Then Denmark. Then the United States. We are 18th in the world. But let's look at it on the bright side. We're smarter than Latvia and Slovenia. Like, come on, man. You're trying to tell me the Department of Education is succeeding when we're 18th in the world? Our bar for education is so low. That's a problem. We can't achieve excellence without raising the bar. They've got to scrap the whole system. For one, they got to give the parents their power back. Power's got to get taken back to the parents because the school failed with it. Next, they need to create some kind of structure or put a study out. I don't care how they do it. Lie, I don't care. Kids don't need to be on their devices all day, every day. I want to take most of the tech out of the schools.
There's nothing that shows that these kids are learning using these systems. That's the whole problem. Nobody is learning using these systems. So it makes absolutely no sense.
Right. So we've got to give the parents the power. We have to give the parents and the teachers more forums to talk on. They all have to be in the loop all the time. There's so many times I know when in my previous marriage, she had 2 kids that were in elementary school. The teachers never got back with us on questions. They never worked with us on anything. It took them weeks and weeks and weeks. And by then the damage was too far done for us to really, like, we were playing catch up all the time. And that's half the problem. Maybe there's not enough teachers per kids. I don't know, but they got to look into it and find out why this is happening.
Well, the problem is that the parents can't discipline the kids anymore. So the kids have no structure. They pretty much do whatever they want. So the teachers are like, I don't get paid enough for this to be a certified babysitter. On top of the few who actually want to educate can't educate because the schools don't want that. They want them just to be able to pass the test so they can keep getting their funding and keep making them stupid so they don't want them to think.
Tell them. Speak the truth.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, the biggest thing is everybody is so upset. They're like, well, the school system just needs to be reformed. And the whole thing is, like, let's just, from the beginning, that it was going to be decided that we were going to have an education system. It was funded and started by John D. Rockefeller. So he himself said, and it's in quote, you can go Google it. He said, I don't need inventors or thinkers. I need people to work in my factories, period. So the whole school system, the whole, we're talking about where your doctors go to school at, like all of that was paid and bought by these elite families to funnel money for them. It was never intended for the greater good of anybody. And that's the whole thing, is like, You guys are so caught up in wanting to fight with the left or the right, whatever. And it's like, at the end of the day, we are not each other's enemy. They are, because none of this was intended for us to live comfortably, to have an idea of a good life. Like the American dream, that was a concept to give you something that says, okay, so if I work and I do this, then I'll get to retire and live the American dream and live comfortable. That was the whole thing from the beginning. It was never intended for us to actually achieve that. So everything needs to be redone, point blank, period. Everything. The government, the school systems, definitely our food, because they are insane with this. Like, we definitely need to, like, and even actual people who's graduated recently from medical school has said they were taught to treat, not to cure. So let that sink in when you're thinking about these people. You're going to the doctors and you're listening to them and they're telling you, oh, take vaccines. Oh, well, you have this. They weren't taught to actually cure your diseases or your illnesses. They were taught to treat it, to give you whatever pharmaceutical drug so that these people can make money. So yeah, let all this burn down. Let it all burn. It might drop. There you go.
Boom. Me and Shauna agree on something for once. Very well
You
said.
said that last week. You said that last week. I want
I
you to
didn't
know
say
that.
that. That's fake news. Fake news. So, with you saying that, where the education system, the Department of Education, is set up to keep us in an educational box, we are not allowed to advance, or at least only the certain select few are allowed. However, so let's look at statistics of proficiency in reading, because this is big for me. Because for one, I write books. I want people to read my books. Well, if these statistics are right, no one's going to read my book. And I broke this down by ethnicity. So let's look at the. So when I say proficiency, I mean average or above. Okay. So 50% of Asians in America are proficient in reading. 50%. That's it. I would have thought it would have been like 90. Pacific Islanders are 49%. Third place, white people, 47%. I can read. I'm in the minority on that. That means I'm smarter than 53% of white people. Next, 25% of Hispanics. 25% of Hispanics are proficient in reading. Next, 23% of Native Americans are proficient in reading. Last place, guess who it is, Shauna? The blacks. 17% of black people.
Can you not? That B was a little hard. Bring it down some. No,
okay.
It was a little hard. Bring it down some.
Black people are 17%. Is that better?
That was better. That was better.
So 17%. So I'm not gonna harp on the black community. That's not the problem. The black community is not the problem here. The problem is the education system is failing our minority systems. 17% of black people that can proficiently read is not good enough. That tells me we are not investing anything into these communities, period. And that has to change. The Department of Education is giving a massive disservice to the black community, to the Hispanic community, and to the Native American community. We need to fix that. I get it. The Native Americans is going to be its own entity because they govern themselves, they educate themselves. However, we should be encouraging them to raise their bar. There is a lot of poverty on the reservations. I know that. But it doesn't mean we got to let it happen. But in our own at-risk communities, in our minority communities, we have to do more. We're not doing enough. And just like I said in my book, we have to make a real investment, a real educational investment. We need better schools, better teachers, better opportunities for advancing education, such as satellite courses to gain college credits. Trade schools. Every at-risk community needs a trade school within like a short bus ride, because that's important. For one, we are short on skilled trade jobs like HVAC techs, electricians, especially here in Metro Atlanta, where development is going up all over the place. We need those jobs here, and we're not encouraging that. The education system is a complete failure. And for anybody, and I'm not trying to attack teachers, and I feel like when I posted about this on Facebook, and I feel like a lot of teachers felt like I was attacking them, and I wasn't, because I think there's a lot of good teachers out there. I know the teachers that I grew up with growing up were good teachers. I mean, you've got some bad ones, but the majority of the ones that I had were good teachers. I was a bad student, but they still fought for me. They still were patient with me. And so I can't say anything bad about the teachers that I've had. As a matter of fact, my English teacher is the person who motivated me to be a writer. And so I am forever in debt to her. So but overall, our education system's not doing good enough. Let's say we raise all these numbers up 10% in the next 4 years. That's going to put us probably in the top 10 in these statistics that I was just talking about with the PISA. So that's significant. And all it's going to take is just a little bit of investment. And not only that, but when we raise that bar, all we have to do is fix the education system, focus on the groups that are struggling. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to create better situations for the minority communities. They're going to be more educated. They're going to want to continue their education. They're going to want to be doctors. They're going to want to be lawyers. They're going to want to be successful and business owners and this and that. You're going to raise the quality of life for every dynamic in this country. And until we address the education, this is the core of America's problem right here. We got to take all the trash out of the curriculum and go back to teaching straight academia, period. What are you doing with that big forehead, boy? Those are my friends. Those are my best friends. They play with me at work all the time. They make me run around. I get tired. They have so much energy. It's insane. Can't keep up. At one point, I could keep up, but I can't keep up no more. My age is showing. So one other thing they need to cut out of there. This is a big one in the education system. I did a whole podcast on this one, but I'm going to bring it up again in brief. They need to dissolve social emotional learning, SEL. If you're in a school system that has a program called SEL, go to your school board and tell them to get rid of it, because that is what's screwing up our school boards. They're adopting these federal and state programs, social emotional learning, and it's taking the focus away from their academic success and putting it into how they feel about everything. Look, by doing this, you're setting these kids up for failure, because if they focus on their individual emotions all the time, for one, you're helping nurture narcissism. For two, when they get into the workforce, your boss doesn't care about your feelings. You show up to work every day, you do your job, you get paid. If you show up every day and tell your boss how you feel about things every day, you're not going to have a job for very long. I had a recent employee that figured that out the hard way. But you're setting these kids up for failure in the workforce. I don't want people to come to work and tell me how they feel. I want them to come to work and work hard, earn their paycheck, and go home and take care of their families. Emotions aren't for the workforce. Okay? As somebody who manages people, I do not want to hear about your emotions. I don't want to hear how you're sad.
I mean, isn't that what your like guidance counselors and stuff are for? Or like, do they not have those in schools anymore?
Well, they do, but social emotional learning has put that burden on the teachers. So not only are the teachers required to teach the curriculum, but they also have to act as psychiatrists, which none of them are certified to do.
I mean, I think to an extent, when you, as a teacher, you do pay, you see these kids a good portion of their lives. So, you do start to pay attention to like their habits and things like that. So, yeah, I do kind of understand you're watching them a little bit, but I think it's too much. Like, that's what those people, so what are these people like? What's the point in having these people and they're being paid in these jobs and they're not? Like, that's what they're supposed to do. The teacher is supposed to go to the guidance counselor, like, hey, I think little Katron having some issues. You might want to talk to him, do a meeting or something, a session. Like, that's what it's supposed to be. Like, I don't.
Right. There should be a system. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
It should all go back to the parents for one. The guidance counselor should just be the mediator between the child and parent. So to move on, because we're running out of time, I want to cover a couple more things, some real quick headlines. Well, actually, to finish up, we are 17th in the world in math and science. Bad. Horrid. However, we are ranked 6th in the world in reading, even though our reading competency is too low for me. We should be number 1. So also, I believe it was this morning, Pam Bondi was finally confirmed as the Attorney General. Yay. I like Pam Bondi. She's smart and she's a go-getter. She's already out there trying to do stuff. And she's a very attractive woman. So she's nice to look at, considering who we had before, Merrick Garland, who's a very ugly old man. Kind of looked like a troll a little bit. Also, Doug Burgum was confirmed as the Interior Secretary, which, it's yet to be seen how relevant his job is going to be. I know Interior Secretary is kind of important, but it's not a headline grabber position. But Doug Burgum has been a very staunch Trump supporter. He's been right there, even though he ran against him in the primary for president. They're still good buddies. So I like Doug Burgum. He seems to do everything right. Also, acting director of the National Intelligence, Richard Grenell, who is an openly gay man. I don't know why that matters, but I had to say that. He went to Venezuela to talk to President Maduro and came back with hostages. But that's what Trump is doing. But we're not leaving these Americans all over the place. This dude went down there and said, hey, bring my boys back. And he came back with 6 hostages. So good job, Richard Grenell. I'm very excited. You did a good job, even though you're just the acting director. But in my book, like, that's an A+. Anytime you bring Americans back to American soil, that's an A+. So good job. Marco Rubio went down to Panama, laid the law down. And even though we haven't come out and like officially said it yet, I'm going to say it. We got Panama. The Panama Canal is back in American hands. They dropped their contract with the Chinese, their little Silk Road initiative that they were doing.
Look, to all the people that be talking about some, Trump can't bully all these people into doing what he wants them to do.
That's what I've been saying this whole time leading up to this. Like, wait till the big dog gets a stick. The world's going to remember who runs this world. We done forgot for a while because we had Sleepy Joe in there taking naps. He wasn't talking to nobody. And then the last thing I want to kind of bring up is that everybody keep in mind that at the end of the day, Canada and Mexico bow down to daddy. So there you go. Now all of a sudden, Mexico's sending military to the border and they're letting Trump fly spy planes in there and everything else. And Trudeau caved. Trudeau didn't even hold his ground for like 24 hours. And he was like, let's have a phone conversation. I'll cooperate. I promise. But, liberals are so mad about that now because things are getting done. Things Biden couldn't do in 4 years because he made 1,000 excuses. Trump got done in 2 weeks. What does that tell you about your government? That these guys have been dicking the dog this whole time. Shauna. Everybody needs to wake up. Trump's getting stuff done. But that's all I've got for my show today. We'll be back on Sunday. I'm sure every day Trump does something miraculous. So I'm sure I'll have 4 new miraculous things to tell you. And maybe if we're lucky, Shauna will be back on Sunday. She's not so busy doing busy people stuff.
And everybody remember to grab your life preservers and whatever else you need if you're flying out there. It's a little crazy. Choose airlines wisely.
You get on the airplane with a parachute pack.
Absolutely. At this point, I'm almost willing to fly Spirit. I think I feel safer.
I saw a meme today where everybody's like, "Well, time to go to Spirit." Their planes aren't.
It just might. It just might.
Spirit stock went up. Everybody go buy it.
Look, don't tell them yet. Let's go buy a couple just before they do.
Right. We don't want to jinx them. Who would have thought that Spirit would have withstood this?
I think they was going to make it this year. I thought they were going to be filing bankruptcy this year, honestly.
We're booming right now. Everybody's like, give me that Spirit seat. I ain't getting on no other planes except Spirit. You know what? Bring Soul plane.
Yeah, absolutely. I want the convicted felon. I want the convicted felon pilot, please.
Right.
I want him.
But that's our show today. I got more stuff I got to go do. So everybody be safe out there. Know where your kids are at and keep fighting a good fight. Pay attention. Don't just read headlines, man. Go look into stuff. I spend hours looking into this stuff just to get the right answer. You're not going to get it by watching headlines on the news. I promise you that. Shauna knows. She's figured it all out now, and she's a full Trump supporter. So
please. Can we not?
Well, we're out of here. We are every day. I'm out. Peace.